Hello and welcome to Property Legacy, the podcast. We are back in the studio for episode 7. I can't believe we're 7 episodes in already. Where did that go?
I know.
We're back in our normal place. If you were listening or watching our last episode, you will know that we were on site giving you all the information on our current hotel renovation. So we've had lots of lovely feedback. Everyone's excited to see the changes that have been made, and we will be back there for a follow-up in the next couple of months.
So today we're talking about purchase lease options and purchase options. Now, you'll have heard lots about these things in the press and Facebook and gurus all everywhere saying that you can buy properties for £1. In the 80s, yeah, you could buy a property for £1, properties that were in very bad state, and you could buy properties for £1 that were being sold off by the council. Nowadays, it means you're actually taking over a property and taking control of a property for £1. So this is a really good strategy for people that don't have any money to help them invest, because you can invest and earn money with somebody else's property.
I feel like when we talk about buying something for £1, it seems very clickbaity and seems kind of too good to be true. I remember finding out that we'd purchased some of our properties for £1 and was just really confused about the whole logistics around it. So we definitely thought this would be a really good episode to share a lot more information about it and kind of give people a bit of understanding of how that actually works, what the process is, and how you can buy properties for £1. Because I think if you're wanting to get into property, this is a really, really good way to start.
Yeah, so it is very clickbaity kind of information. But at the end of the day, when you're setting up a purchase lease option agreement or a purchase option agreement, you have to pay some form of money, and the minimum is £1.
Okay.
So you could be asked to pay 10% of the value of the property, but majority of the time it's just £1. So we've done this 3 times in the last 3 years, and it meant that we could use this strategy to help landlords that were in trouble. So we had a landlord that had a property with us, a tenant left, and they left it in a state that we needed to do some renovations, and it would have cost about £15,000 to get that done. But the landlord didn't have the money, and she just wanted to sell the property and pay the mortgage off and call it a day. So we came up with the idea of taking over the property, and we would have a purchase lease option. So what it means is we would rent the property off the landlord for a period of 12 months, 5 years. It could even be up to 20 years. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever you negotiate between yourselves. In that time, we would then renovate the property and then put tenants of ours in and start earning money from it. In this particular occasion, we arranged that we would pay $72,000 for a 3-bedroom house in Blackpool. It needed the work doing to it, but the landlord needed to sell it for that amount to cover all the costs, settle the mortgage. So we agreed that we'd give her the amount that she needed, knowing that once we've renovated it and we'd spent our money on it, then it would be worth more. So the idea is that we would pay a small rent, just cover any little ongoing costs per month. We would then renovate the property. Now, because we do a lot of work ourselves, it means that we did it at cost price. So instead of 15,000, we did the work for 8,000.
Okay.
Didn't mean we did it at a worse standard. That's how much it cost us to do it, to get all the materials and our wages and things like that. 12 months after that, we bought the property for 72,000. But when we did the survey, it was valued at 105.
Oh God! So yeah, that's a lot of
So
a big jump.
So effectively, it benefited from a full renovation top to bottom. The landlord got the money that she wanted. It got her out of this scenario where she couldn't rent it out because it was in a bad state of repair, and she couldn't really sell it for the amount she wanted to.
Yeah.
So she got a little bit of rent plus the 72,000 over that 12-month period. We managed to put a tenant in the property that wanted to move out of one of our 2-bedroom apartments and wanted to get a 3-bed. So we effectively got a house for her. We decorated it how she wanted. So now that tenant is one of our best tenants because It's decorated how she wanted. We renovated it. We involved her through the renovation, so she was very much involved with all the decision making of what colours and things like that to do.
You know what? That's one of the things that I really love. We spoke about it in our property legacy episode, all about how your parents were in property. And I remember being younger and going to help my grandma at a house that she was renovating. And she was showing me all the colour options and the wallpaper options, and she was showing it to the people that are going to be living there. And I think little personal touches like that are so important in what we do, especially if you've got someone that's going from one property to the next and you've been looking after them and their family for, it could be 6 months, it could be 6 years. But I think giving those additional benefits to those people, it keeps them with you longer. They feel really, really valued as a tenant. And it doesn't really take much to do that either. You're not going, we're going to spend like £5,000 decorating a room for you, but you're going, here's some options. What would you like? What do you think would look best? And I think it's really valuable to do that.
It is. It's all about getting that win-win for everybody concerned. So it's not just a case of the landlord gets all the benefits.
Yeah.
The tenant gets benefits as well. Having a nice home to live in, nice secure property, dry, damp-free, nicely decorated. It means they buy into the deal as much as the landlord. So you have to have a balance in any agreement, and the tenant needs to be bought in just as much as the landlord. So it meant then that we've got this set up, we've got the agreement set up, and it was just £1 minimum to pay to kind of make the contract legal. So how do you set up the contracts for a purchase lease option? Well, there's actually 2 types of contracts. There's a lease contract, so you're going to rent the property, and then there's an option to purchase. So you have to set up a lease same way you set up any kind of commercial lease or any kind of lease with a landlord. You agree the amount you're going to pay per month, and you agree what landlord is responsible for, what you're responsible for. And that's one agreement. And then you've got the option to buy. So the option you can have over a 5-year period or a 10-year period or whatever, and you fix the amount you're going to buy it for. So on our example, we said we're going to buy it for 72,000, and we said we'd do that within the next 12 to 18 months. We actually did it in 12 months. So you can use that option at any time within that time scale.
Okay.
So at the beginning, the vendors knows they're going to get the money they've asked for plus a rental amount per month until we actually buy. They're actually benefiting from the asking price they wanted and also rent.
Okay.
So a lot of people think, well, why would a vendor or somebody give you their property in that way? And it's because they're getting benefits of both.
Yeah, and they know that there's that guaranteed income. That's the whole important thing of setting that time frame, especially when in the situation we've spoken about, they were at a point where they go, I don't want to do this anymore. But in 12 to 18 months, you can get this money back, this amount of money back. You can pay your mortgage off. You've not got any additional expenses once you kind of come out of that. So it's a win-win really for people in that situation, especially in a cost of living crisis at the moment.
That's it. Somebody might be trying to sell a property that's in negative equity.
Yeah.
And it means then you could actually give them the full asking price that they want, or even 110% of the asking price, because you're going to do it over, say, 5 years, and you arrange for a lower rental amount, and that way within 5 years the price of the property will increase, so it's a benefit for you. But because you have the option, you don't have to actually buy it. You just have the option to buy if you want. So if the market drops lower than what you've agreed to pay, you can hand it them back. As long as it's in a better state than you took it.
Oh.
So it's an option to buy, not you have to buy.
Oh, so it's not a guaranteed thing?
No, so you guaranteeing that you're going to rent it for 5 years.
Okay.
But you have the option to buy it within that 5-year period. And if things completely change, you can actually hand it them back. They get a property you've renovated, they get a property that you've been looking after, and as long as that's in a better state than they gave it you, then everybody's happy.
I mean, they're still getting their mortgage paid and all of that.
Exactly.
Whilst you're doing that. So again, there are benefits to all the different kind of options with it.
There are, and obviously it won't fit everybody's needs.
No.
A lot of people ask, how do we find them? Because obviously we found 3. Now, each one of the ones we have been landlords or vendors that we know that have a particular problem or a pain point that we've helped them get around. And to do that, we gave them this solution of doing a purchase lease option. We never went with a view to do a purchase lease option. We never said what a purchase lease option was. We just said, there is this scenario where we could do this. We could offer you the full asking price, but for the couple of years or 5 years, we'll rent it off you for this, and then you get the benefit of both. So it's how you listen to people. It's what you listen to their conversations, what they're moaning about. You will find that there will be scenarios where you can come up with a solution using multiple strategies or different strategies around that will actually give that person a quick get out of jail or get out of a situation. And it's that networking and it's that kind of communication with people that brings these opportunities around. And as long as you jump on those opportunities to help people, and you're doing it to help, not doing it to make loads of money for yourself, then that comes across when you're trying to help people.
I think as well, like when you see opportunities where you know you have that expertise and that experience that you can help, you know, it's in the long run, it's always going to benefit you because you are the knight in shining armour in that case. You know, you're there giving them that help that they need. You might not be massively financially better off for doing it, but it always comes back round. It's one of the things in business that a lot of people don't think of doing, and actually all of the positive things that you kind of do to assist and help other people, definitely you do get rewarded for it.
Yeah, well, the instant reward you get for this particular scenario was the fact that we did the work. So we spent $8,000 on doing the work. It was during COVID, so it was quite nice that we had 2 of us that were working on it, could go and work there because we were isolated together. And it just meant that we could actually carry on with the work, get things done and move the property forward. When we came around to buying it, we knew that the mortgage company would give us a mortgage because we're only asking for 72,000 when it's worth over 100,000. They were really happy to do that. And in fact, the mortgage we got was only 54,000 in total because we still put a 25% deposit down. It just meant that we were easily getting it financed. A landlord was paid back in a relatively quick time frame, and it meant that we could do something in a time where people were in lockdowns and struggling to do anything. We couldn't show anybody around to take another tenant on or anything like that because you couldn't show people. So it just helped us at the time, gave us the work and gave us an opportunity to move the business forwards, but it also gave the landlord and the vendor that opportunity to get out of a sticky situation and actually get their property renovated and moved on quite easily.
So we've spoken about the first option, which is obviously a lease. What is the second option?
So you've got the purchase lease option, which obviously you've got the lease and the option, or you just have the purchase option.
Okay.
So you could have a scenario where you have a commercial property that there's no mortgage on or anything like that, and they're struggling to sell it. So you could offer them a purchase option within a 2-year period, and you could operate the property, you could have the keys to the property, you could put a business in there, you could run the property as you would. And over that 2-year period, you could then set up the accounts and then get the money from a mortgage from those accounts to buy the property. And it just means that the company who owns the commercial space knows that they are going to get their money by a certain point, and you're going to manage it, you're going to look after it, and you're going to do what you need to do in the property. So it just means that you're not given a rental amount every month, and you're just going to buy it within the next so many years.
And with that one, do you have the option to then go, oh no, I'm not actually going to buy it?
Yeah, it still is the purchase option. So you still have the option to
so
do
it's still a might, it's not a...
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So it's normally used in commercial, but it's slowly but surely being used in residential more and more, and it's just another option.
I think with the way that financially things are changing as well, you know, they are probably things that we might be seeing a bit more of. So it's something that's good to kind of learn about and know about, especially with how things are, especially in the UK at the moment. It's a little bit crazy over here, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a similar kind of scenario in the States, in Canada. It's everywhere around the world is having the same kind of issues, especially with energy issues and things like that. But the ideal way to look for these properties you could do a purchase lease option on is when you look at for sale signs, there'll be a for sale board and then there'll be a to let board. And then it just shows that they're open to either to rent it or sell it. So that means you can then go in there and say, well, I can give you both.
Yeah.
And then you can, it's a negotiation. So if you're on Rightmove or if you're online looking at properties for sale, if you then quickly have a look at rent as well and you get the same pictures, then you've got that option again. So whenever you're walking around the city you live in or the area you live in and you see the to let and for sale, then you can use a purchase lease option.
Okay. That's good to
So
know.
it's a nice, easy way to notice what's going on in the area and who would be open to that kind of a deal.
So talking about buying properties for a pound, we actually have our Airbnbs in the lakes, don't we?
We do, yeah.
And you got them for a pound.
Yeah, we did. So again, there was 2 apartments in the Lake District. I was living in one of them while I was working up at Sellafield. And I knew that the owners didn't want to manage them or look after them, and they wanted to sell. So eventually, after a lot of talking about it and talking about the different options to help them with their problem, they then had the idea that we could use this purchase lease option. And again, it meant we took on 2 properties for a pound each, and now we're operating them as Airbnb. And that works well for us. It works well for the vendors because they know it's getting well looked after, it's getting people using the properties, and we're working towards a scenario where then we will buy them for a fixed price, but we still have the option to kind of hand it back if necessary.
Yeah. And as well, when we purchase the Airbnbs, they're ready and fit for purpose, ready to go.
Yeah.
They're already in that kind of format. So we've done that with a viable business and we've just created a business from it. So again, talking about what we've spoken about, we've gone from a house that's in, you know, needing a lot of work, and then the situation we had in the Lake District is it's ready to go. You know, we need to do the bit of the work with setting it up properly and all of the kind of admin and marketing and stuff like that. But, you know, it's a viable business model. It's there ready, waiting for people to come into it. So we've been running that now since January 2023. So
yeah, so it's strange how you can move the business forward. It meant we set up a new company, just looking after the Airbnb flats. It means now that we have 2 people that do work for us, so it's added employment into the area. So it's not just the case of, we've got these properties for a pound and we're making this kind of money. It's helping the area, it's helping trade in the area, employment, and it's also helping the landlords get a scenario of what they want and get the money they want for it. For us, obviously, we're running it. We're getting a lot of good experience in the service accommodation arena, and we're learning a lot, and we're moving the business forwards. Once we've got the accounts, then we can actually get a mortgage to buy the properties. And we'll probably do them one year and one the next and kind of move it on like that. But we're always looking for those kind of deals.
So one thing that I wanted to ask, it's been coming up quite a lot recently. I've had a few questions about it when I've been meeting and networking, especially at our property event, is a lot of estate agents will actually let you go and view properties without a mortgage in principle. So obviously if we're working with somebody who's not got a lot of money, who's wanting to work with investors, who's wanting to go and present things to investors, how do they actually get around that? How can you actually go and view these properties if you don't have a mortgage in principle? Is there a way that they can do it? Is it better if they're in a company structure? Can you do it on your own?
Well, yeah. The reason why estate agents do this is a lot of people will arrange to go and view a property and not turn up. Myself and Paul, that used to work with us, were at one property, and the estate agent was there all day long, supposed to be having 17 viewings, and only one person turned up. So you can imagine the cost that goes to the estate agent. They have to really do things that gives them more confidence that people are going to turn up. So by asking for decision in principle is great, because they know that you've got the mortgage available, so you've got the funds. Now, that's okay if you need a mortgage, but if you've got cash only, if you could buy it for cash, you don't need a decision in principle at all. From my point of view, I help investors invest in the Blackpool area. So again, we don't have a decision in principle, because a particular investor is giving me requirements of what they're looking for, and I go and find a property. So I might look at 10 different properties for this one particular investor. But if he's buying with cash, or she's buying with cash, there's still no decision in principle. So when they ask for this information, I always send an email to them, and company paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And we use the email to outline the fact that we're working on behalf of an investor. We can provide evidence of the money available once we've found the property that they're interested in. We're looking at a few different properties, and this is one of them. And we appreciate that normally they ask for a decision in principle, but there's no mortgage going to be required, and they're looking for a number of properties. So it gives the estate agent, they know that we're dealing with a professional, we're dealing with somebody that's going to bring them customers, that's ready to buy and don't need a mortgage. And if they work with us, they'll get their commission quicker. And it also means that this investor might come back and buy more, because we've already said we're getting multiple properties. So by thinking a little bit more out of the box and kind of working it into your favour, that's how we get it. And so far, we've not had anybody say no.
Oh, so that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Also, we've not bought every single thing we've looked at, but we do help people buy. For instance, we've got somebody that lives in Manchester and wants to purchase in Blackpool, because Blackpool's a lot cheaper than Manchester.
Yes. Manchester's gone crazy for prices. It's shot up.
If you've got the money to buy in Manchester, that's a really good place to buy.
Yeah.
But if you haven't quite got that amount, then Blackpool's a good place as well. So over the weekend, I sent this investor 10 different properties, and then he'll look at what he wants to look at, and I'll go and view the ones he wants to look at, that he's interested in. But so we'll have that conversation with the estate agents, and we'll have that audit trail as well, what they're looking for, what we're trying to achieve, because there might be deals that the estate agent hasn't yet put online. So off-market deals is a big thing, that if you can get in while it's not online, you're going to buy it a lot sooner. So it's things like that we can show as our evidence that we're working with somebody, and we can then get in quite quickly.
And that covers just about everything that we have got planned for today's episode. Hope you've learned something from here, and hopefully you could purchase a property with £1 if you wanted to. There's lots and lots of things to bear in mind, but it is an incredible strategy if you were looking at dipping your toe into property, regardless of the amount of money too.
So if you like the episode, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Give us some 5-star reviews. It would be really helpful if you could.
Thank you so much for listening, and if you're not up to date, catch up with all of our episodes through whatever platform you'd like to listen. We love hearing your comments and your feedback, so feel free to let us know what you think, and if you have any suggestions for future episodes, shoot them our way. We would absolutely love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening. Bye bye.
See ya.